Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Venture Outfitter Weekly, plugging into the ecosystem, hearing from some of our entrepreneurs from across Mexico, especially we were just in Chihuahua, and we're going to hear from one of our entrepreneurs in Nuevo Leon as well, just to talking about northern Mexico. Part of what we're here to do is share some of the stories about how ventures are moving forward and how we work together as a community. Want to make sure that we get a chance to really follow up on some of the different activities that have been happening. And I'm kind of getting used to moving around my studio. It's always good to learn how to do it on the road. And now again, this way, it's been a little bit crazy, but I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I want to say a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor for today's program. It's called the SAVEFRUIT. SAVEFRUIT is the Secretary of Innovation and Economic Development. For those of you all that don't know, we have this exploration project. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what Tech Ranch has been doing in Mexico for a very long time. Part of the thing that we'll do today is talking a little bit more about some of the activities that happened this last week in Chihuahua. Right now, with the Secretary of Economy, we're exploring how to actually take some of these concepts the Tech Ranch has been doing between Texas and Mexico and other parts of the world, and how is it that we can expand that and support even more entrepreneurs and building these bridges between, especially Texas and Mexico, Austin and the cities of Chihuahua, but we'll be going farther from there. If you're not in the Tech Ranch community, we have pretty much right now an open call where we have changed around some of the things for some of the long-term people that have been there. Make a long story short, you can join the Tech Ranch community for free. We do have certain rules of the community about what makes it actually work. So the idea is get involved, go to that URL and you can get involved directly. If you can't use the QR code that's on the screen, go to techranch.com/connect. And there's a bunch of different URLs there for getting involved. We re-implemented our community on a new tool. And part of what we're doing with this tool is we're exploring how to bring back some of the traffic that we had when we had the Slack site. We got rid of Slack because Slack was getting in the way and their pricing was getting real expensive. So we decided to stay away from that. So, so it's got that new house. You're still figuring out where to move the furniture and stuff like that. Go take advantage of it. And there will be a lot more interactions happening there. In fact, if you're in the state of Chihuahua, there is a special area for you to plug in. Or if you would like to be a part of supporting the venture bridge between, like, say you're Mexican, but you live in Austin and you'd like to support the Chihuahua bridge, and instead of sending me an email asking me how to get involved, get into the community and then get into that channel. It's just a # Chihuahua. You'll find it under the Venture Outfitter section of that. We have a bunch of programs coming soon. It's interesting how a lot of our speakers actually say, hey, can we move things around? And so part of it is we only have one of them that were published, that even this one's gotten moved around a bunch of times. But Christia Hoffman, who is one of Tech Ranch's resident experts, she's an expert at creativity and has been involved in the Tech Ranch for a long time, started a company called Mama Lingua as well, since we have a very English and Spanish flavor to today's program. She'll be talking about creativity on the June 1st. Now, that being said, there's going to be every week, we're going to be doing something different. There are 4 different types of programs that we do. Last week, we interviewed an expert. We interviewed the Secretary of Economy of the state of Chihuahua. Part of what will happen, and we've had different governmental officials from around the world on, we've had different, interview types. We then also do these community interactions. We'll, a lot of times we'll actually have entrepreneurs pitch, which we're going to hear a little bit about today. And then, then specific target areas of expertise for skill development will happen as well. If you're ever wondering what's coming, go to techranch.com/events. And if you're inside of the community, you'll get a kind of a little bit of a preview of some of the private events if you're in the event channel. So please do join us on that. So on May 3rd, I gave a speech to 200 business leaders in the city of Chihuahua. Essentially, there's a industrialist group that I spoke in front of, and these are some of the photos from the interactions that happened as well. I think we already told you that the VO Weekly last week live was with myself and the Secretary of Economy of the state of Chihuahua. Really interesting what the state is doing and just the sheer amount of production of new activities that are happening between, among the four main cities there. I was in the capital city, Chihuahua. We'll be doing some activities in Juarez soon and a couple of the other cities as well. But really interesting what was happening there. If you missed that, you can always find the recordings both online, on LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, and then also inside of the community. In fact, if you're interested in following up with anyone that you met last week, the best way to do this is to make sure you do it in the community site on that specific event under the VO Weekly. And then I was honored to receive a delegation from Bolivia yesterday. This is us. We presented at the UT Business School is part of the activities that we invited the Bolivians into. Bolivia is interesting. I've never actually been to Bolivia. I've been all sorts of over Latin America, but never gotten to go to Bolivia. So it was great to see some of the technology companies that were there. And I already see some of the collaborations that are going to happen across the Americas, not just in the US, but across the Americas. Right now, a lot of our focus, in fact, that we're going to really dive into more deeply over the next few weeks and a few months, is in the Spanish and English speaking Americas, and not to take away from the French speaking parts of Canada or the Portuguese speaking parts of Brazil, but there's going to be a lot of activities that are happening in those areas. In fact, I am going to be in Spain, it looks like, in June 21st and 22nd. I'm going to be in Santiago and Valparaiso, Chile, August 2nd through the 5th. Looking forward to getting that. That's one of my old stomping grounds. Used to live in Santiago. Going to be doing some activities in Mendoza, Argentina on August 7th and 8th. And then I'll be speaking at Inc. Monterey, November 16th and 17th. There's more activities that are going to be happening. But part of the idea about this is, as there's this massive shift that I talked about last week, this massive shift, it's kind of like China's getting isolated, whether you agree to that or not. Politically, the US government is doing that. And because of that, all of us as entrepreneurs that are in the Americas can take advantage of the opportunity. And yeah, we're going to throw Spain in that as well. It's interesting. I've already seen some opportunities for some of our Chihuahua entrepreneurs that are in Spain. Some other connections have already started happening. We'll follow up about that. In fact, later today, I'll be meeting with another group from Murcia, Spain. And so there's other parts of Spain. In this part right now, Spain, June 21st, 22nd, I'll be in Bilbao. Probably on the 23rd, I'll be in Madrid. All of these things are not finalized yet, but they're coming soon. We have two new fellows that are joining us. What is a fellow? So we have this fellowship program where entrepreneurs from around the world can actually join us. In the past, you've met some of our fellows are from Uzbekistan. We've had fellows from Italy and different groups. In going deep on this whole idea about the Americas, we received two new fellows. They actually start today. Actually, official start date is on Monday. But of course, we've got some of them involved already. Jose Anzola is an entrepreneur who's from Venezuela, lives in Paraguay right now, will be in Austin for the next 4 weeks or so. His focus is going to be bridging activities for those of you across other parts of the Latin America. So like, I'm going to say not Mexico, because Adolfo is going to focus in even more depth in technology about what's happening across Mexico. Adolfo lives in Mexicali. Jose lives in Paraguay. Adolfo has actually worked in the state of Chihuahua in the Nanotech Center. And so we're going to really specifically be digging in on some of the advanced technologies with him and making it this possible. We really want to get this idea when we realize how massive the manufacturing shift and the investment shift has happened to Mexico. Right now, historically, Tech Ranch is focused on 5 different states in Mexico. And with the amount of business that's shifting back to the Americas, even if we had all 32 states of Mexico, it's not enough for the amount of opportunity that's coming. So Jose will focus a little bit more on the other parts of Latin America, and Adolfo will be talking about advanced technology and stuff like that. We'll have them, we might even put them on the spot later today, but during this program, but certainly look for them in the community site. They will specifically be tagged on today's program in the community site. And why is that? It's just because part of the thing we're attempting to do here, right, is just build these bigger bridges and really then have other people that have in-depth expertise. Both these guys have technical backgrounds. Both of them have insight. Adolfo has a physics degree and has been doing stuff in nanotech for a while. And so, surfacing some of the deeper areas that you might plug into, especially even if you're an Austin entrepreneur and you need resources. There's more than just software development resources in Mexico. There's all sorts of other things you can actually get involved in. So let's talk today about plugging into the ecosystem, hearing from entrepreneurs in Nuevo Leon and Chihuahua. And really, this is about Chihuahua, but the truth is that there's a little bit of history that a lot of people don't know yet. And I want to make sure I bring up that history because for me, if I'd had the time, I would have thrown in a picture of myself back in 1994 when I started my first company. My first customer was a bank in Guadalajara, Mexico. And so there's an almost 30-year history. If you include my career right before that, there's a 33-year history of me doing business in Mexico. I'm really, really, really bullish about Mexico. But in 2018, we started a program. I'll let you dig in a little bit more. We started a program in 2018 that was funded by the federal government of Mexico, a part called INADIM, the Institute of the Entrepreneur is what that stands for. And we built an innovation bridge between Mexico and Austin. Now, this affected more than 200 companies, 200 entrepreneurs across Mexico. There's 200 that were in the first stage that then stayed involved in the Tech Ranch orbit, 40 in the second stage, and then 10 that we really got in-depth interactions with. And we're going to hear from 2 of those guys today. You've certainly heard from David Potes, who's the CEO of AVA, which is a virtual hospital, not just telehealth. We're going to hear a little bit more about him. And then Carlos Bernal, who's the CTO of a company called Keto Trace, and he's been, bouncing around between Chihuahua. He's originally from Chihuahua, Mexico. He lives in Brownsville. He spends a lot of time in the Houston Medical Complex. We'll hear from him. But like I said, it was the history of this program that we're building upon. And then last week, I met 2 other entrepreneurs that I just thought it's so critical to surface this capability that of what we're discovering. We're not just discovering software developers in Mexico. There's actually, in the state of Chihuahua, each year they're graduating around 6,000 engineers. And all those engineers are getting consumed there. But what's interesting is they're doing really interesting stuff way beyond just a little bit of software development. And so we're going to hear from Alan Ventura, who has a company called BioGrip, and so an application of artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and for taking on issues for people with prosthetics, as well as Ricardo Mendoza, who has a really amazing company called SAVEFRUIT. So part of what we're going to do, though, is let me bring us off of this and say, we're going to have each of one of the 4. We're going to hear from our 2 old timers. We'll start with David, then we'll go to Carlos, then we're going to hear from Alan, and we'll hear from Ricardo. We'll put our two old timers first, just because we haven't heard from them in a while. But kind of, we're going to hear just like kind of a short update. David and Carlos were involved all the way back to 2018, and so we've heard a lot of really great things that have been happening about what they've done in the bridge that got set up way back then. And then I really want you to see some of the advanced technology that's coming from there. We will have time for questions, but we'll go through the four presentations. I am, since I do have two screens today, I will be able to track the conversations like I wasn't able to last week. And if you have a question at some point that you want to ask one of our presenters, make sure you raise your digital hand or ask on one of the streams, and I'll make sure I look over there and ask that. With that, let me put David Potes on the spot and say, hey, David, thanks for joining us today. How is Monterey? How are you doing? Tell us, well, really, I want this to be about you versus the innovation bridge that we've been building, the venture bridge we've been building. Tell us a little bit about you and your venture really quick.
Sure, Kevin, thank you. Well, I started, I just wanted to go back to 2019 because when we applied to the innovation bridge, we were a company called Apollo Health. And basically what we did is we enhanced the relationship between patients and healthcare providers. During that experience, we learned that what was lacking here in Mexico was more of a business model or a healthcare model that will support and enhance that better relationship between healthcare providers and patients. So that's the reason we created, and I'm going to share my screen really quickly just to explain myself better, just have a visual support. That's why we created Ava Salud or Ava Health. Basically, it's a virtual hospital, like you said, it's more than just telehealth. What we're doing is that we focus really on understanding what was the patient journey for a patient navigating the complexities of the healthcare system. And we found out that there was a lot of lacking spots that are these bubbles that you find here, right? There's no primary care, there's no coordination between healthcare providers and between different stages of the patient journey. And what is completely just not on the map is just what happens after there's a hospitalization or a surgical intervention for the patient. So that's why we mapped what would be the ideal patient journey, for every person that has to have a need on the healthcare system. And with that, we understood what were the products or services that were lacking in the Mexican healthcare system. And that's where we started to create different healthcare services. So first of all, one of the things that is very important to mention is that Ava Salud is working with the Mexican Hospital Consortium. That is a group of 52 hospitals that are across 49 different cities in Mexico. So with that in mind, understanding that we have 52 hospitals and the medical specialists for the 52 hospitals, we started to work with them and create these different products that will, like I mentioned, unify that patient experience through the patient journey. So we started with creating Salud Primero, that is basically primary care. We're working right now with Hospital en Casa, that is a home care services for post-hospitalization and post-surgical procedures. And we, on the second stage, we're going to work with Salud Contigo, that is basically chronic care management. And what is going to be more ongoing is basically Siempre Salud, that is all about preventive care and wellness. I'm not talking right now about the technology that is behind this, because for us it's more important to develop the business model and then develop the operational model, and then think about what is the technology needed to create this business model so that we can have a better adaptation of the technology that we're using, right? And for this, then I can talk a bunch about the technology that we need, because what we're trying to do is, like, mention all these products and integrate it to create a healthcare system that is really a healthcare system that is integrated around the patient. What is really that patient-centric phrase has been used a lot, and we're trying to really understand what is needed to put the patient on the center of the model. So we're talking about interoperability models. We're talking about, of course, telemedicine, of course, remote patient monitoring. There's a lot of technology that has to be integrated so that we can offer this service. I was trying to be really quick. I think, yes, this is all that I have right now. I was just trying to.
That's perfect. That's
really,
perfect.
Yeah, in a really quick, broad sense, just explain what we're doing. And I don't know if it was clear how we transition from offering the technology to actually offering the services, because we found out that we wanted to enhance that patient experience. We had to kind of like do it ourselves a little bit.
It's beautiful. Well, so it's interesting because the implication of this is not just in Mexico, right? It's also in this side of the border in the United States by being able to extend a much deeper service than even you're getting in telehealth to patients that might be anywhere in the world, right? It could at some point. The only thing that really holds it back is regulations, right? It's like the real opportunity would be
Yes.
around the world.
And if I can just talk a little bit about that, the main thing that we saw with just offering telehealth or telemedicine or medical consultation through telehealth is that that's just kind of like, quote unquote, the digitalization of a process. So we really want to create a whole new integration for the healthcare system. We have to go further than that, not just digitalize the medical office consultation. So we want to know, okay, so what are the doubts the patient may have when they start to feel bad? What do they know where they have to go? If they even need to go to see a doctor, or if they can just chat with a nurse or something that will help them just resolve their doubts. And after, if they do need a medical consultation, what needs to go after that? Well, I mean, do you have to go to a hospital? Which hospital? And this just a little bit of the doubts that people have in terms of, you know, dealing with their healthcare and navigating through the complexities of the healthcare systems, not just in Mexico, like you mentioned, in the US and other countries.
So David, let me switch gears real quick, and we're gonna hop. Maybe we've got a bunch of other people, so I need to make sure I keep on thinking, moving things along. What did you get out of the Venture Bridge, the project that you like? You know, especially since you're one of the old timers, right? You're one of the senpai, as we use in the Japanese language for explaining this, and given you're another martial artist like me. What'd you get out of this whole thing? Like what would be some of the things that some of the entrepreneurs, whether they're in Chihuahua or one of the other places that we're going to be working with, might look to for the value of a Venture Bridge versus just, figuring out US market entry alone or something like that?
Yeah. So I'm going to give two things. One of them was to understand what is that we were selling. I don't know if I'm being clear with that. Like I mentioned before, we entered with Apollo Health, and for us there was a before and after going through the Innovation Bridge program, and in the meaning of how to present, how to understand the client needs, and not only in terms of the service that you're offering, but also in the sense of what is it, how you're presenting, and what they need to hear for you to become more attractive for them. How to be concise, precise, and just really, be very on target on what you're offering. So that was a whole process that we went through. We understood, and we changed our pitch. We changed our presentations. We changed the way we sold our project, and that brought us great benefits, especially here in Mexico, to implement our solution in different hospitals. And the other thing was, and I think that's the most important thing, was the relationships. We developed within the group of the 10 startups. Actually, just to give a really quick example, Carlos and I were just talking last week about he asked me if I knew somebody in the clinical trials space, and I was just literally just talking to a person that has a clinic designed for that. So just make the connection, and that's all the type of relationship that we start to support each other, and inside of that, one of the things that is most important for me is just to find people that are on the same space, they have the same issues, they have the same struggles, and just to find that you're not alone on this entrepreneurship and journey, and that's been a lot of value to me, that there's things that sometimes feel like this is my fault, and I know it's something that is very common, is very people are struggling with the same issues all around the world. So that also gives us kind of like a mental health tools to resolve those issues that you may have.
Exactly. Well, so I know I'd like to ask you 1,000 other questions. Let's do this. Let's keep on going and stick
Sure,
around.
thank you.
We'll take some other questions back and forth. Let's put Carlos on the hot seat and hear from another one of the entrepreneurs from Chihuahua in the innovation bridge that was part of it. And Carlos,
Yes,
¿cómo estás? How are
bien,
you?
¿y tú?
Bien, también.
I'm-
Okay,
I'm doing
perfecto.
well.
It's always great to see you. Tell us about your venture. Tell us about first off, tell us what you're up to. I mean, what your venture does, and then let's actually go into the history of what's happened over the last 4 years. Several people were shouting out for you last week back in
In Chihuahua.
Chihuahua, like while I was there. So tell me.
I've been around since 2015. I think I remember meeting you South by Southwest in 2015, actually, right
Yep.
before we started the program in Memphis. I created a technology to measure different metabolites in urine. I was graduated from the University of Houston. I got my master's degree from UFH. So I've been all over Texas. My wife is from Brownsville. I created that technology back in 2015. Right now, I'm part of a program with the Texas Medical Center.
Let me do this. Tell us about what does your company do first off, so that tell us about that first product, just so that people have a kind of a concept about what is Carlos up to.
Yeah, sure. The technology measures different metabolites in urine. We started working with glucose, and then we realized that we were able to measure a lot of different molecules. From glucose, we jumped to ketones, cholesterol, albumin. We are working on myoglobin.
Why does that matter? What is it that just because you can measure these, what's the implication of that? What's the so what?
It's kind of you're talking about a lot of different, some of them diseases, some of them conditions that we can manage through knowing what's going on in your urine. Like you can manage your nutrition just by measuring your glucose, your cholesterol, your ketones. That's especially important for people with metabolic disease or disorders like diabetes. Right now we're measuring a molecule that is called myoglobin, and that molecule is an early indicator that you're having a heart attack. So we've been progressing in that front of the technology. And now in Houston, I'm part of the biodesign program on Texas Medical Center. Texas Medical Center is the biggest medical complex in the world. They do receive about 11 million patients per year. So we're kind of exploring different uses of technologies throughout the complex here and the member institutions.
And you've had quite a big set of history. You and Nancy have actually had started in Chihuahua, ended up coming to Texas as part of our program, ended up in Italy. What happened? What happened with that?
We're still working on that. We're still working. I mean, the healthcare sector is quite complex, especially in the United States. You have multiple players, you have multiple providers, and within them you have different relationships. So it's one of the biggest challenges is understanding what is the problem you're trying to solve, who has the problem, who's gonna pay for it, why they're gonna pay for it. So it's like a big puzzle that you're trying to put together. So actually that's one of the huge values that I saw during our time on with y'all at TechRanch, because it gave us the opportunity to actually sit down and try to analyze, which is something that is very, very complex, requires a lot of time. Now that I'm here at TMC, I can see it firsthand because you see it directly from providers, and it is it's a complicated puzzle, but it is a huge opportunity because it's a most liquid market on earth. And the proximity with Mexico creates an even bigger opportunity because you can have access to a lot of people that can develop technology, and then you have next door a huge liquid market.
Yeah, exactly. So that's partially the thing that I hope that as we're building this bridge with Chihuahua, we can actually use your footsteps, your pioneering footsteps, to help other entrepreneurs. In fact, we're going to hear from at least one other healthcare entrepreneur and then another food entrepreneur from Chihuahua in just a second. What was the number one thing that you got out of the being a part of the Innovation Bridge?
I guess the most important thing was that we had the time to sit down with you and try to understand what was the real value proposition that our technology was providing. And from that, we were kind of going down and down through the rabbit hole that is the U.S. healthcare system. And we were able to get to a point where we kind of had think out all the different players and the beachhead market and things like that. Like it was very amazing.
And how about a shout out back to your home state in Chihuahua? What would you like to say, and perhaps even say it in Spanish if you'd like, to any of the entrepreneurs? Any suggestions? Anything that you'd like to advise, whatever it might be, for the entrepreneurs that are following in your footsteps?
I'll say take your time, analyze what's the value proposition, analyze. You have a lot of different stakeholders here. Try to understand it well. Try to create a beachhead market. Like you enter a market, even if you have bigger vision, try to find the beachhead first, because that's gonna provide like the first dollars or the first pesos if you want. And that's gonna allow you to continue the road forward towards your bigger vision.
Bueno, dice otra más, pero esta vez en español, para los emprendedores que no pueden entender inglés súper bien.
Oh, ok. Bueno, de las cosas que he sacado últimamente de aquí, del Centro Médico en Texas, es que manejan un concepto que le dicen como el mercado de la orilla de la playa, algo por el estilo en traducción. Y es básicamente, a lo mejor tú tienes una idea de cuál va a ser tu mercado, pero pues te va a tomar 5 o 6 años llegar allá, especialmente si estás en healthcare. Y un beachhead market es uno a donde puedes tener rápido acceso, a lo mejor, no sé, si estás enfocado en apnea de sueño, puedes decir, bueno, no soy apnea de sueño todavía, nada más te ayudo para ronquido, ¿no? O sea, busca la forma en que no te veas directo al médico y entres por el lado de bienestar, por ejemplo, en el caso de quienes se enfocan en la salud, ¿no? O sea, hay formas de tener mercados de más rápido acceso que puedan empezar a representar ingreso más rápido.
Perfecto. He was just saying the exact same thing. And main thing about it is, since we are working with people like as an example, as I work on my own Spanish, a part of what I want to do is make sure this is accessible to both sides. And with the AI tools that are now making it possible to learn languages so quickly, it's important. Any last words you'd like to say, Carlos, before we hop over and hear from some of your fellow statesmen in Chihuahua?
I'm really excited about hearing about Alan. Haven't seen you in a while. Ricardo, how are you? David, how's it going? Hey, I don't know a lot of the other faces, but I'm really excited about hearing from them, their stories. How's everything going?
That's perfect. Well, I tell you what, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and put Alan on the spot next. Carlos, thank you for joining us. And it's always inspirational to see, like, part of the thing that I actually say about Carlos's technology is they came up with a low cost way of testing for if you have not just the issues around diabetes, but possibly, you know, are you having a heart attack? Being able to detect a heart attack inexpensively up to 8 hours before the heart attack, the big event. So really pioneering work, and great to have. Here's another pioneer that I got to meet last week. Really impressive work. Alan, show us what you're up to.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you to all of my colleagues. It's really exciting to be here. My name is Alan Hernandez. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BioGrip. And we are solving a problem that it's which is called disability, right? Disability, there's over 1 billion people in the world living with disability, but these people are waiting for real restoration solutions. And we are not creating a prosthesis, actually. We are offering real independence and empowerment of people. That's our main focus. And BioGrip is a smart bionic system working as a platform to create artificial limbs and rehabilitation devices. And using one single thought, our technology allows these devices to move naturally and perform simultaneous movements just like the human body does. Right now, we are looking for key partners for associations with veterans programs in the United States and some grants that could help us get into the US market. Just to talk you more deeply into BioGrip, since 2019, we have created an artificial limb that works as a rehabilitation device. We have created the artificial limb with the broadest range of mobility and precision ever achieved, along with a unique subscription model, which is allowing people to be nearer or to have more access to this kind of technologies. Our technology is divided basically in 3 different components. The first one is a sensor membrane in charge of collecting multiple signals sent from the brain to the nerves. Then those signals are translated by our artificial intelligence program. And at the end, it's controlled by a non-invasive mind control system. At the same time, all the devices are connected through internet to the cloud, collecting thousands of data, making these devices more and more intelligent through time. This platform has the intention of being also to help other people that are creating other rehabilitation devices, since we are creating a universal control system for this kind of artificial limbs. Basically, we want to change our potential competitors into clients. And it will help us a lot because we will be able to treat a wider range of disabilities, right? Not only hands or arms amputations. We understood something very important. We understood that any solution is useless if you don't make it accessible. Sometimes the best technology in the world is out there, but it's far from certain kind of people, right? So that's why we integrated that technology so people can order, test, calibrate, and get trained remotely. And in that case, we're eliminating some intermediaries, making these devices more accessible or reducing important costs to our clients. It has been a journey since 2019, since my colleague, my friend, and my associate, Israel Gonzalez, which is the creator of this technology. We started with personal experiences, actually. The starting point for BioGrip was a very hard situation, medical situation of Israel. My colleague, he got Lyme disease back in 2017, around that time. And he started to look for solutions because he started to have some disabilities, neurological disabilities because of this disease. So he was starting looking for actual solutions for him. And he realized that the solutions were not accessible or were not the best that he wanted, right? So he started working with people, with our ambassadors. Some of them you are already, these are the people that we are helping, our ambassadors. He started working with them, understanding the pain, understanding the problem that they got into these kind of disabilities. And right now we have a product ready to be launched, and we have over a waiting list of 500 people here in Mexico. And we have an association with the National Institute of Rehabilitation in Mexico City so we can have access to these patients, to these ambassadors. It's great to work with them. It has been an amazing journey. And right now we are in a very good place. This year, the goal is to build 100 devices that we already, there's a businessman here in Mexico that bought 100 devices, so we can give the 100 devices for free to these people. So this is our first sale actually, and we are very excited about this. We're scaling up the manufacturing process. We are continuously learning in every single way. And at the end of the day, we are looking for people to help us create this kind of inspiring stories, to help us spread the word. And we won't stop until we see millions and millions of people holding hands with their loved ones again.
That is a beautiful story. In fact, one of the things that was so inspiring is you might even say something about the thing that's one of the things that's most impressive about this technology. There's another video that he showed about how I think a 4-year-old picked up like how quickly the AI, since the way you designed the cuff that it plugs into and the AI works. Tell us a little about how quickly that training is, because that I think is one of the things that people can't even conceptualize, given that they might have seen someone adopt a prosthetic in the past.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's something very important, Kevin, because there is an 80% of prosthesis rejection, and one of the main problems around this, it's the rehabilitation process. Because in order to be able to handle these devices properly, for some of them it took maybe 4 to 6 months. And with this device, the first time that Diana, for example, the girl that you're looking at the screen, the first time that she put we did the test with her, and the first time that he got the arm, in just 8 minutes, she was able to pick up something as delicate as an egg, or even small nails, small things, right? There's a video that she's playing Jenga with this arm. And Mateo, the 4-year-old kid that you mentioned, the first time he got the arm, he was able to pick up little things. And actually for him, it was very intuitive, because we did an experiment with him. We didn't tell him anything about at the beginning, how to use the arm. And we were telling him, just imagine what you do with your other arm, and then try to do the same with this new robotic arm. And he started to playing around with things. And actually something like really beautiful about this is, at that time he looked at her mom the first time he saw how the hand was moving, and he was like, "Hey, look, mom, I'm a robot." And it was pretty exciting to listen this kind of stories, expressions, because at the end of the day, we are helping them to recover hope. That is something that they lost in the way.
That is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Well, thank you very much for presenting today. This is the type of technology that I think, again, a lot of people just can't imagine how far advanced things are on just the other side of the border. And the fact that you're doing it in a way that's low cost and going to be accessible to a much wider group of people than historically prosthetics have been. And then acquisition time is being so quick. I mean, that was that thing, it brought tears to my eyes to see how quickly that little child was able to just, plug in and then do things. So that's a sort of technology that really moves the world. So thank you for sharing. Any other last request? We're obviously hoping that you're going to work with us and back and forth as we build this experiments that we're doing between Chihuahua and Texas. But any request, anything else you'd like to say or throw out there before we switch over to Ricardo?
Yeah, just that we are looking to get into to the U.S. market, to expand our business, to be able to help more people. And specifically, we are looking for key partner associations with veterans programs in the United States, grants, associations, anything related to because as Carlos just mentioned, right? There's a bigger vision, but you need to go you need to reach the beach first, right? So for us, that beach is the veterans programs in the United States, and we will be pretty excited to help these people and to expand the happiness, to spread the happiness that we already did in Mexico.
Yeah, perfecto. That's perfect. Okay, well, thank you for sharing today.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
let's go ahead and switch over then to our final entrepreneur presenting today, named Ricardo. Ricardo actually has a really impressive life science technology, and again, very unexpected, and it was really impressive. And I wanted to share specific. I wanted him to share about the details of it because it was unexpected about how advanced and what the implications of the technology are. Ricardo, take it from there.
Thank you, Kevin, for the invitation, and it's a pleasure for me being here with people that are doing amazing things. A lot of them I met them in person, so I'm very excited to be here and share what we are doing in SAVEFRUIT. So thank you again, Kevin, for this invitation. For us, it is very important to tell the world a little about what we are doing in SAVEFRUIT. So to begin, I want to say that when we began our journey, we thought that to feed more people in the world, we needed to produce more food, but the real answer was to take care of the food already produced. So we saw that, for example, 1.3 billion tons of fruits and vegetables are wasted every year. And normally, fruit growers and fruit distributors use cold rooms and control atmosphere, but the problem is still there. 45% of all the fruits and vegetables produced worldwide are wasted. And cold rooms and control atmospheres also has other type of problems as high installation cost, exaggerated use of energy, emissions of CO2, loss of flavor, color, texture, and aroma of the fruit. And the fruit, when goes out of the cold room, the shelf life of the fruit is reduced. And this is why I assure you that a large part of the fruits from your homes goes directly to the garbage. So for those reasons, we developed a post-harvest technology that allows fruit growers and fruit distributors to have to extend the life of their fruits. So we use the nature to preserve the nature, to be able to have more food available in the planet. So what we used was to create an enzymatic cluster that is able to prolong the life of some fruits and vegetables up to 130%. And what we are doing here is that we can keep their color, we can keep their aroma, we can keep their texture, but we also may provide some protection against diseases, specifically against bacteria and fungi that can affect the fruit. And another important thing here is that we can help our users and our clients to open new and distant markets. For example, we have cases of some fruit growers here in Mexico that are shipping fruit for the first time from Mexico to other parts of the world. For example, to Russia, using our technology, because the technology is trying to help them to extend the life of their fruits, to reduce the food waste, but to be able also to arrive in a proper way to different parts of the world. So we here have some pictures, for example, for avocados, that some of them, the picture that we can see in the left are SAVEFRUIT treated fruits, where we can see the internal part of the fruits, and in the right side we can see the control fruits, those fruits that were not treated with our technology. And we can see the difference not only about the internal part of the fruit, but also about some diseases that can have this particular fruit around from time to time. And another important thing here is that we can only see that these things like color, texture, but there are other internal properties, like for example, the dry material of the fruit, the composition of vitamins and minerals that normally fruits and vegetables have, and we can keep them for a longer time. For example, we can see that an apple, after 3 months of cold rooms, they can lose 45% of all the minerals and vitamins that the fruit is normally having. And with our technology, we can keep it for a longer time, and not only make the fruit fresh longer, but also a fruit that has better nutritional properties. We can also have, for example, a picture of tomatoes. In the left side, we can see a SAVEFRUIT treated fruit, and in the right side, we can see those fruits that were not treated with our technology. And in this particular fruit, we can see the difference in only 5 days of the color that the fruit is normally having. So it is important to say here that after 2 or 3 days of treatment, we can see like very notorious differences between the groups. And an important thing here is that while SAVEFRUIT is helping some fruit exporters to have to send extremely perishable fruits to 6 new markets by ship for the first time ever. So we are allowing our fruit users, our SAVEFRUIT users, to ship, for example, papaya from Mexico to Russia for the first time. Before this, it was impossible, and they normally sent it by air. But we also have some particular cases of, for example, avocados that were exporting from Mexico to China, and the avocados was like arriving in a proper way. But with our technology, it can arrive to China, and it can be distributed with like a smaller percentage of waste. We also have a case of bananas, for example, from Mexico to China. They used to have 35% of fruit waste, and with our technology, we can decrease that percentage of waste to 2.5% of waste. So what we are doing here is that we are extending the life of the fruits, but also allowing fruit growers and fruit distributors to have other opportunities and be pioneers in this creation of food abundance in the planet. So in a crash, that is what we are doing here in SAVEFRUIT.
That's beautiful. It's amazing because for those of y'all that on the slide, you might not have read the Spanish in that first example that Ricardo gave about the test. The test was 15 days, and you could definitely tell a big difference between the avocados that have been tested that have been prepared with this method. Now, one of the important things too that Ricardo mentioned that I think was really impressive is they're using nature to preserve nature. That is, this is all natural. This process is not, you're not applying a pesticide or some kind of weird chemical. Say a little bit more about that, Ricardo. Yeah, go ahead and bring let go of the slides and so we can see your face. Tell us a little bit more about how you're using nature to protect nature.
Yes, of course. Well, what we saw here in SAVEFRUIT is that there are some alternatives that can help to extend the life of the fruits, but they have other type of problems. For example, we have chemical blockers, but the problem here is that, for example, organic produce that are normally like intense, they cannot use this type of technology. So what they are doing is to have like chemical blockers in the fruit, and the fruit has like a longer shelf life, but it is using like chemical ways to preserve the fruit. So organic foods cannot use this type of technology, and there are some countries that are not allowing this type of technology being applied in the fruit. There are other type of technologies, like for example coatings and waxes, that in some cases we work like together with them to have like a proper shelf life of the fruit. But the problem here is that they have normally residue in the fruit because they are like protecting the fruit with a membrane. What we made in SAVEFRUIT was to use the nature, to preserve the nature, to use the same enzymes that they're normally having in the fruit to protect the fruit. So in this case, we are not like putting extra types of residues in the fruit. We're not using chemicals to block like ethylene binding sites. What we're doing here is to use enzymes that are normally in the fruit and other types of the plants to preserve this particular fruit. So in this case, we are not having residue, we are not using chemicals, and what we're doing here is the same components that the plant is having in a normal life, to put it in some particular sites that we have detected to extend the life of the fruit. So what we're doing here is that not using residues, not using chemicals, but using the nature to preserve the nature.
Wayne, and you're just to give people a level of scale, because this is not just in the lab. How many millions of kilograms of fruit is getting protected on a monthly basis?
Yes, well, we are treating normally 20 million kilograms of fruits monthly, but here an important thing is that, for example, in the last year we treated more than 50 million kilograms. So in this year, what we are doing is increasing our operation capacity to have 20 million kilograms treated each month. And what we are doing here is that, for example, like people like us in our houses, in our homes, can be benefited from this technology, because one application of the technology in the agro industry, like logistic chain, can benefit the people that are in the houses, like waiting or buying the fruits from the retailers, because one application can benefit this all the players that are after the application. So now in our cases, in our homes, we're also having this particular benefit. And when we are, for example, in the last quarter of this year, we're going to increase again our operation capacity. So we are going to be able to treat more than 20 million kilograms each month, and not only like in the agro industry, but also people like us can be benefited from this technology.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, just because this is truly a way that people get to eat, because if fruits, a lot of times when we see at supermarkets and things like that, they throw out lots and lots and lots of different types of fruits and vegetables. I can just imagine that one of the opportunities would be to have that same throughput available, but then feed more people. So, beautiful thing. Ricardo, anything else that you'd like to make a shout out request for anyone, that any requests that you have for people that are listening?
Yes, of course. Well, we are now opening a new market for applications of our technology in the US. So some contact with fruit growers, or also some retailers that can help us to try our technology and see the results, because an important thing here that we have discovered is that we can talk amazing things about the product, but the real inspiration for our clients is when they see the technology working. So any contact for growers, fruit distributors, but also retailers can help us a lot, specifically in the US.
Beautiful. And I have there's activities that happened even this morning from my fellow team member for getting you connected, but we'll follow up about that shortly. Cool. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate all four of you coming on and presenting today. What I'm wondering is, we're right at our time that we usually wrap up before anything. I'll just do a quick shout out. Raise your digital hand if anyone wants to that has a question. I noticed online we got a little bit of information back and forth today, and what we'll do is, if you're interested, for the people that actually hear this as the podcast, right, when this podcast goes out, if you're interested in following up with any of these entrepreneurs, the main way to do this is they will be tagged in the community site with details. You'll be able to follow up with them about about what they're up to and what they're working on and things like that. You can always follow up with this as well, with Tech Branch directly as well. We will be supporting these entrepreneurs as we look at taking the next steps and stuff like that. Actually, Jello, put everyone back on, and I'm just wondering if anyone would like to say any other closing words before we finish up for the day. Open call. Alan, Carlos, Ricardo, David. Now, one of the things that I will say is I am looking forward to actually having more female entrepreneurs among our bridge as well. And so I'm going to request that each one of you actually promote at least one female entrepreneur to be into the conversation for the follow-ons that we do. Please let us know, because I didn't mean for us to only have males today, but it is really cool to see what you guys are up to. Any other statements otherwise that you'd like to say?
Maybe just to tell everybody on the other part of the screen to stay connected. I think connections, being in spaces like this, for us as an entrepreneurs, it's pure gold. At the end of the day, a connection could be the key to open a real door that you need in order to grow, in order to learn something, actually, not only to raise money or to some big things, but sometimes a very good advice, a very good someone to tell you that this is not the way of doing this or this. For us, it's pure gold, right? To learn from other people So just to tell everybody to stay connected. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to do something real impact, high tech things, you cannot do it alone. You need connections, and that's my advice.
That's excellent. By the way, Alan, you just got a shout out from my friend Cal Thixton, who is an entrepreneur based out of Chicago. He says, coming in late, was wondering how the prosthetic presentation might help with Parkinson's. Do you have any insight about that, Alan?
Right now, we're not working in Parkinson. Nevertheless, our goal is to expand to other rehabilitation devices, because actually our technology, I mean, the core of our technology is a smart bionic system. So it's a system, not only the arm. We needed to do something, because I cannot come with everybody like, take a look at my product and just give them a metal box with a little wires, right? So we needed to create actually a rehabilitation device. So so far we want to be like very good at making good arms, but at the end of the day, we want to treat a wider range of disabilities. So we are open to collaborate with people that are doing very good prosthetic legs, devices for Parkinson, exoskeletons as well. So and at the end of the day, if after we like manage to do the arms properly, one of the things that we want to be able to treat is Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, and also other limb devices, right?
Understood. Well, what we'll do is we'll have some follow-on type of stuff. I know Carlos just posted a note saying, hey, I have to go to the next meeting. So I tell you what, guys, let's do this. We'll take things back over here. You guys get back to work. I'll start wrapping up really quick. I want to make sure that for anyone that's interested, thank you to our presenters. Really advanced technology. It's great to see. Part of what I want to make sure that I say for anyone that's not on the community or hasn't seen this yet, there is a channel. You can see it right here if you're in the Tech Ranch community. Bunch of different discussion topics that you can go into. But in the Venture Outfitter, there's a special area. The channel is open right now. At some point, it will be closed. But if you're involved, if you're interested in getting involved in the Chihuahua, Texas Venture Bridge, as we do this exploration, this is purely right now an exploratory movement. I'm convinced, you know, in my 30 years of doing business in Mexico, that the time is now to really double down on that and expand the activities that are happening. We're specifically going to do some experiments in Chihuahua. Obviously, we already have a lot of other things happening with, we've worked with more than, I mean, it's hundreds of entrepreneurial teams across Mexico. So it's, you know, there's a place to get involved. Make sure you go to this message. It tells a little bit about how to get involved and what's there. It's both in Spanish and in English. I wrote it, so you can get kind of a sense of what's there. And then we'll have more activities that we post in here. All you have to do right now is sign into that. You don't have to take any other activity other than subscribe to the channel and make it a point to do so. Okay, well, I tell you what we'll do is I'm going to switch back over to my deck just to wrap up. And the main thing that we'll do is just remind you, for the people that are in, if you're in this experimental group between Texas and Chihuahua, we are opening up a phone line to be able to take activities back and forth, like first inquiries. Now, as quickly as we talk to you on the phone, we're going to quickly move you over to the appropriate channel and what's happening. This is the number +737 283 6978. It is available both on WhatsApp as well as on text. But the key idea here is to really drive activity into other areas, and we'll be doing more activity about that very soon. And then more generally, if you're not involved in all the different places to plug into around the Tech Ranch, go to techranch.com/connect. You can actually get into the community. Like I said, the doors are open right now for free. The activities are going to be there. We'll have a lot more activities that get published through the community site. There's a lot more activity that happens there than we publish on the events calendar on the public side, because we are wanting to kind of have, what one of my former business partners used to say. He'd say big tent, small tent activities. So to get into the small tent, you kind of have to be inside of the system. If you're interested in being involved as a mentor or a country manager as well, there's details about how to apply and get into those programs. We do not just do general open call. Anyone who calls themselves a mentor is a mentor. Our mentor process is much more rigorous than that, especially when working with entrepreneurs across borders. It's really important to have some preparation around that. Please do take advantage of these, though, because we'd like to get, I don't mean to create any walls of, walling people out of activities. It's more making sure that you're prepped for the right area for these type of programs. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. I appreciate everyone's time today. It's always an honor to work with entrepreneurs that are driven by vision and values. And obviously, we've got some pretty amazing things happening, both in Texas and in Mexico. And then for that being said, all around the world. So with that, let's go change the world for the better together. Y'all take good care, and we'll take it from here. Take care. Bye-bye.